Today we are starting with chapter 2, Input, Output, Memory Devices, where we are going to study about input devices, output devices, memory devices. About these things we are going to study. So first is input device. Input devices are used to send the data from external world to the computer system. Data in the sense it may be a letter, number, symbol, audio, video, graphics, it may be of any form. So sending of these things from external world to the computer system it is done through input devices. There are various types of input devices. We are going to study all of them one by one. So down you can see the first input device is keyboard. The diagrammatical picture of keyboard is given here where there are several keys. Keyboard is basically used to type letters, numbers, symbols. Along with that, we can give some instruction to the computer by using keyboard. There are different categories of keyboard keys: alphanumeric keys, functional keys, special keys, directional keys, and lock keys, right? Numeric keypad, like that. Various types of keys are present on the keyboard. So in the diagram, it is clearly shown what different types of keys are present. These are the different variety of keyboards: standard keyboard, ergonomic, wireless, virtual, compact. Where standard keyboards are the general keyboards which are used by everyone, almost peoples in the world. So where these keyboards usually will be having number of keys present on these keyboards will be usually 105 to 108. So usually it will range from 95 to 108. Slight variations will be there. These keyboards are QWERTY layout keyboards, right? So that QWERTY keyboard style is what it is. That design is imported from typewriting machine. Earlier we were having typewriting machines. So from that design is imported. Ergonomics in the sense, in the standard keyboard, what happens is if you are using the keyboard for the long R typing, then so you'll get some problems in like muscle pain, or in the hands you may get some pain in the palm, in the fingers and all. Ergonomics keyboards are specially designed to avoid such kind of strain on any muscles or joint or organ, right? And wireless keyboards, as the name itself says, these are wireless. They are going to work either through the Bluetooth or IR, infrared infrared or radio frequency, and radio frequency to connect the computer with the help of batteries transmitted and the receiver with the range 1 to 40 feet distance contact between the computer and the keyboard type very ineffective. So these keyboards are very much helpful. Suppose, say, for example, you are using a keyboard, you are using a computer for the teaching purpose. Assume that you have a large screen. So in such case, the wireless keyboard and mouse, you can keep it little distance from the large screen and you can show it to your audience by operating the keyboard and mouse with a little more distance, right? So, and then along with that, the peoples who are doing work from home, even for them also, wireless keyboards are very important. So, virtual keyboards in the sense there are many devices like you can see mobile tabs, the ATM and all. So, where the physical keyboards usually it will not be there. In the mobile also, you see when you want to dial the number, when you want to type some message in the WhatsApp, you can see some keyboard will open on the screen itself. They are called as what? Virtual keyboards, right? Where physical keyboards requirement is not there. And even for the security purpose also, we use virtual keyboards, right? So here, even in the Windows also, we have one virtual keyboard. Just go to the start and type on screen keyboard. You can see one virtual keyboard on the screen, right? And the compact keyboards are what these the keyboard size will be usually it will be small, and these keyboards you can see on the laptops because size of the laptop will be smaller. That is why the size of the keyboard also what it will be in small size. and say someone is using a tab for doing some operations, even for them also, these compact keyboards are very much helpful. And the mouse is alternative input device, right? So where the mouse is having two buttons, left button and right button, two button mouse, and one middle wheel is there. It is called as scrolling wheel. With the help of that, cursor on the screen can be made movable to access the different commands present on the screen, right? So however you move the mouse, so based on the movement of the mouse, right? So here that movement will be converted into signals and send it to the computer. Based on that, the mouse pointer will be moving on the screen to help you to access the different option on the computer. So mouse is very much popular in modern computers. We have manual mouse RJ, this kind of mouse nowadays it's not there. Scroll mouse is there. These are all scroll mouse only. USB wired is there. Wireless mouse is there. These are the different mouse types of mouse. Joystick. This device is basically used for uh, gaming purpose usually. Like say for example, if you are using what is that like you are playing a car game or you're playing some fighter games and all, that time these joysticks are very much helpful, right? So joystick will be like this is an input device. So where with the movement of that handle or present on the stick on the joystick, right? So based on that, the movement of the cursor will be uh, it will be managed. So you can see here for playing video games and all, this will be very much useful. And the different parts are given in the diagram. Kindly check it out. So especially for games purpose only, we use this one, right? And we have OMR, OCR, MICR input devices. These are special type of input devices which are not used everywhere. They are used in a specific sections, right? So now here optical reading of the picture symbols and shapes are scanned with the help of laser beam. Usually the position is pre-programmed, accessed and documented instantly. So let us see one by one. Optical mark reading and recognition. This is the full form of OMR. So usually you might have seen that in many of the competitive exams conducted by government for government jobs as well as for competitive exams for the admission purpose like CET, JEE, NEET exam, there all you see that descriptive questions will not be there, only MCQ based questions will be there, right? So here, in such case, to read the answers given in the OMR sheet will be processed by these OMR machines, optical mark reading and recognition, right? So here in the two diagrams are there. First part, it is showing you how MCQ options will be given and how the user usually marks over there, and the optical mark reader when we put inside the machine that paper, how it will process and how it will count the result or the correct answers and wrong answers. One more is there, optical character reader. Before that, so this is specially pre-printed forms are designed with boxes which can be marked with a dark pencil or ink. Right. Such documents are read by a reader which transcribes the marks into electrical pulses which are transmitted to the computer, and the application present in the computer will verify as per the electrical pulses supplied. So whether the give answer marked is correct or not. And there is one more called as OCR, optical character reader, right? So this is for this technique prints the direct reading of any printed characters without any special ink. With OCR, a user can scan a page from a book. The computer will recognize the characters in page as letters, punctuation marks, and so on. So here, specially printed letters will be there, usually on the bank check. So to read that, they use OCR, optical character, on some particular document. It's not only about check and all, some particular documents. Now we have MICR, magnetic ink character recognition. So this is widely used by bank to process the checks. See, MICR is used for processing the bank checks. Human readable numbers are printed on documents such as check using a special magnetic ink. The check can be read using a special input which can recognize magnetic ink characters. So why this is done? To avoid the manual errors. It will save time and even it provides the security as well as accuracy of the data. Right. And now output devices. Output devices are basically used to show the output to the user. Either it will show on the screen or it may print on the copy paper. So we'll see in what all different formats we can get the output. The first one is monitor, which is also called as VDU, visual display unit, which will help us to display the data, what we are typing from the keyboard, the data you can see on the screen. The data present on the screen, it is called as soft copy because if there are any mistakes, by seeing on the screen, you can make corrections. So here, initially, earlier we were having monochrome monitors, that is black and white, but nowadays they are not available. But gradually we got color monitors to display the images and text in color. And on the monitor, there will be a group of small dots will be there. So we'll try to see that. Just type pixels on monitor screen. We may get some images, how pixels will be arranged. So can you see here, these dots? These are small dots present on the screen. So these dots, we call it as a pixel, picture element. Spelling is PIXCL, full form is picture element, right? So the screen clarity depends on the resolution. Resolution means what? How many dots are present horizontally and vertically, like a matrix order. Most of the monitors have 4:3 width to height ratio. This is called as aspect ratio, right? The number of pixels that can be displayed vertically and horizontally gives the resolution of the monitor. See, we have 642, 480. These are all old monitors. We have 1024, 768 monitor nowadays, right? So we have all full HD resolution. Full HD resolution. If we say full HD resolution, you can say 1080 720 means 1080 by 720 pixel full HD design will be there. Pixel arrangement will be there. The size of the monitor, earlier it was in 12 inch, 14 and 14 is there, 15 inch is there, 17 nowadays it's not there, 18.5 is there, 19 is there, 22, 25 like that it increases, right? And nowadays because of HDMI port in the televisions and in the monitor, in the television, so nowadays what we are doing is whenever we want large screen, we are going with television, large size TV only, especially in the training centers where we are giving some seminars, there all we use that. And the printers. So printers gives you the hard copy. That means once the information printed on the paper, no, that information we call it as hard copy because you can't do any changes. If you want to do any changes by seeing in the monitor soft copy, you make the changes, take the print one side. There are different types of printer. We have line printer, dot matrix printer, inkjet printer, laser printer, thermal printer. So where impact printers include printers that print by striking device against the inked ribbon. Impact printers are those where while printing there will be a physical touch between the printer head, ribbon and the paper, right? So they are impact printer, whereas a non-impact printer in the sense, in this there will not be any physical touch between the paper and the printing device. It will be like a Xerox. You put the paper, some lights will come, so printing will be done. Like that it will usually, right? So the data present in the memory is called a soft copy, they say. The programs and data present on the paper is a hard. So characteristics of impact printer. Impact printer, there will be a physical contact, what I said just now. They are due to being robust, fast, and low cost, they are useful for bulk printing. Where you don't prefer more good quality, no, you have to go for impact printers. Impact printers are ideal for printing multiple copies, right? That is carbon copies. Like say 1+1. Say for example, a company will be giving bill, one copy for customer, one copy for the branch, one copy for the main branch. In such case, they have to print 1+2 printing. So in such case, we have to go for impact printers. So due to the striking activity, impact printers are very noisy. Little disturbance will be there, and they are mechanical in nature. That's why a little they'll be slow. Impact printers do not support transparencies. Transparency sheet printing not possible. Measured with character, speed of the impact printers are measured in CPS. Whereas non-impact printers, these are not do see these printers do not use striking device, so noise will be less, right? The ink or semi-solid ink is stored in the printer cartridges. So cartridges means I would like to show you how the cartridges will be. Just say printer cartridge. So there will be ink bottle. See, this is a cartridge present in the laser printer, whereas in the inkjet printer, these colored cartridges will be there. Okay, so now here the flow of ink is controlled by the processor, which is much faster and can print color in different font and size also. So as these are quite then impact printers, because there is no striking mechanism included. They possess the ability to change the typefaces automatically. These printers produce high quality graphics, and even they support transparencies also. Means on the transparent sheet also you can print, which will be helpful for giving seminar using projectors. So nowadays we have all digital projectors. These printers cannot print multi-part forms because no impact is being made on the paper. Measured in dots per inches, the quality DPI we call it as. More DPI, more clarity, more quality printing will be there. And speed is measured in ppm, pages per minute. The size of the paper supported by non-impact printers are A4, A3, A2, A0, and jumbo size. That is large size. Types of printers: line printer. So this is high speed printer capable of printing entire line at a time. That's why the name is line printer. It can print 150 lines to 3000 lines per minute. The limitations of the printer are they can print only one font. They cannot print graphics. Okay, the quality of the printer will be, the print quality of will be low. Printer quality is good. Print quality will be good, will be low, and as they are impact printers, mechanical based printers, so little noisy will be there while printing. But it can print large volumes of text data very fast compared to other types of printers, right? So it is also used to print on multi-part stationaries to prepare copies of the document. The dot matrix. Dot matrix. See, matrix means what in mathematics? Something which is arranged in the form of rows and columns. They say dot matrix. You can see here a printer head. Here also I'll show you. Printer head in dot matrix. Yes, Here you can see. So either it will be in the circular format or it will be like in a square format also. So here the dot matrix they call, because here by using dots it prints the letters, right? See, for example, I'll say alphabetical letters using a rangoli, I'll say. See, I'm using something word rangoli, right? See, using this rangoli, which is combination of rows and column, it is not only for preparing variety of picture, even any type of letter, any type of picture can be printed. You can see here, right? See, some language letters have been written here. So you can write a letter, you can print the number, you can print the image, you can do anything, right? And you can print anything. Combination of dots will be arranged uh, to form any type of letter or a number or picture. Even graphics can also be printed using dots. There will be a group of pins, dots arranged in a matrix format in the printer head, either in the circular format or in the rectangular format. So where there will be a like different printer heads, like say 24 a pin, 18 pin, 9 pin, like this. So based on that, so it is going to form the dots as the instruction given by the computer, and it makes the letter. These are similar to typewriters. They are slow. They are impact printers, mechanical based printers. They print 300 characters per second. So these are very good where you don't want to have a quality of printing. And these are very low cost print. Printer is costly, but printing cost is low. And these are heavy duty printers where the cost is very important. No, there you can use this dot matrix. Especially you can see nowadays these printers are only, I think, available in the railway station, in the ticket counter, as well as in the ticket reservation. Okay. Now, thermal printer. And we have thermal printers. Thermal printers prints printers that produce images by pushing electrically heated pins against special heat sensitive paper. These are not general purpose printers. They are inexpensive and used widely in fax machines and calculators. Okay. So here the thermal printer paper tends to darken over time due to exposure to sunlight and heat. So the printed matters on the paper fade after a week or two. See, usually you can see that the printed receipt what we get it from the ATM machine, or the printed bus ticket what we get, right? You see that after 1 week or a 2 week, whatever is printed on that paper, no, it will be washed out. It will be like a white paper. So that is printed through this kind of printer only. Printing quality will be very much poor. And the very popular printers are laser printers, where the laser printers they use laser beam and a dry powdered ink to produce a fine dot matrix pattern to give you a high quality of printing of graphics images, right? So they use resolution, how many DPI, right? Depends on that. The quality of the print will be changed. The DPI will ranges from 300 DPI to 1200 DPI at the end. This is the diagrammatical structure, how laser printer will be there and different parts presented. So laser printers are widely used nowadays. Everywhere they are being used, right? So here the next is, remember, laser printers use dry powdered, right? They use dry powder. It will be stored in a cartridge. You have seen just now how the cartridge will be this kind of first one, this kind of cartridge, right? So in this, that powder will be filled out. These all colored boxes, what we have, it is used in inkjet printer. Inkjet printers are basically for color printing. They use color cartridges which combine magenta, yellow, cyan inks to create color tones. A black cartridge is also used for cusp monochrome, that is black and white printers. Right. So inkjet printers work by spraying the ionizing ink at the sheet of a paper, magnetize the plates in the ink's path, direct the ink onto the paper in the described shape. Right. So that is the way how inkjet printer works. Inkjet printers are basically lower in cost, but the inks are costly. And these printers, every day where we have a color printing duty, there we should. So today I'm using, and if I'm leaving it for 1 month or 2 months, then if the ink gets dried, then the whole cartridge will be wasted. Again, you have to buy it as the cartridges are little costlier, right? Where there is a continuous printing of color, no, so there we can use printers, color inkjet printer. We have plotter printers. See, plotter is an output device that draws pictures on paper based on commands from a computer. So wherever you want to print large size or a large size printing, you can go for plotters. Plotters differ from printers in that they draw lines using a pen. As a result, they can produce continuous lines, whereas printers can only simulate lines by printing a closely spaced series of dots. Multicolor plotters use different colored pens to draw different colors. In general, plotters are considerably more expensive than printer. They are used in engineering applications where, say, they want to print house plannings, machinery designs, and all. So it will be useful, right? And I think banner printing machines also, they little simulate to the plotter. So even speakers are also considered as output devices, because here the sound produced by the computer, we are going to listen it outside the help of speakers. The sound signals from analog or digital are converted into audible frequency in the speakers and produce the voice output, that is audio data. Using speakers along with speech synthesizer software, the computer can provide voice output. Voice output has become very common in many places like airlines, banks, automatic telephone inquiry systems, etc. User can also hear music, songs, the voice output system. The advance in the development of speakers are given rise to the track system of the output sound based on the position of the speaker and the number of tracks output, right? Namely, like we have 2.1 channel speaker, 5.1 home theaters, 7.1 home theaters, like that, different, which indicates the position of the speaker and tracking system. The latest speakers are crystal clear audio. Walkman speakers are smaller in size with less watts and decibels. Today the speakers are with the subwoofer, and two, three, four speakers are also available. And coming to the memory devices. Memory devices are basically used to store the data either temporarily or permanently. We have both kinds of memory devices. Memory is a storage part of the computer. We need computer to store the data. This storage enables us to use the stored data for the future, right? So it is mainly divided into primary and secondary. So the unit of the memory will be in bits and bytes. So where it uses binary format to store the data, hence 0 and 1 format will be used for storing the data. So here 8 bits means 8 bits makes a byte, right? So it is, see now, 2 into 2 into 2 raised to 10 they have done. That means 1024. First thing is here, bit stands for binary digit, right? 4 bits means 1 nibble. 4 bits means 1 nibble. 8 bits means 1 byte. 1024 byte means, see, 2 raised to 10 bytes or 1024 bytes makes 1 kilobyte. Similarly, 1024 kilobytes or 1 megabyte, 1024 kilobyte, it becomes 1 MB, 1 megabyte. That is 2 raised to 20 bytes. 1024 MB makes 1 GB, 1 gigabyte, 2 raised to 30. Similarly, all different units are given here. Nowadays, we are getting hard disk in terabyte. Still, in the normal use, we haven't shifted still to the petabyte. It's still in the terabyte, but already the larger size of units are already available. Most. And now we'll continue the portion. Primary memory. Primary memory is also called as main memory. So the term memory usually refers to the main memory of the computer, whereas the word storage is used for the memory that exists on hard disk, SSD, pen drive, and all CDs, floppies. These are all outdated. So here, the main memory is usually called a physical memory, which refers to the chip integrated circuit capable of holding data and instructions. Right. So here the memory unit, how usually it will work, that integration between the parts it's showing. See, what happens is the data fed by you, usually first it goes directly to the RAM, that is called as primary memory or main memory. So from there, what happens is the data will be sent to the CPU for processing. After processing, the result will come back to the RAM. For the purpose of permanent storage, the data may go to hard drive, that is secondary storage device. Again, whenever it is required, the data will be retrieved from secondary storage device back to the RAM for the further processing. Remember, the data which has to be processed, it should be in the RAM. If it is only in the hard disk, if it is not in the RAM, the data will not be processed by the CPU. CPU considers only the data which is present in the RAM, right? So here, these are the different types of like main memories. Basically, it is ROM and RAM only. RAM. So in the ROM itself, we have ROM, PROM, EEPROM, double EEPROM are there. We'll see all of them one by one. First one is about ROM, read-only memory. See, read-only memory, as it says, this memory chip contains some software which is fed in this chip at the time of manufacturing itself. So that software is called as what? A BIOS, which is there in the ROM. BIOS stands for Basic Input Output System, where this software will be executed every time you start the computer, so that it will check the health of every part of the computer, whether the supply, electricity supply, whether it is moving to all the parts correctly or not. If all the parts are moving correctly to those to all the parts, then what happens is the system will be a computer will be allowed to do some operations for the user. So that will be handled by BIOS. BIOS is like doctor for the computer, right? That software will be in the ROM chip. It is on read only. Only computer can read it. You can't write anything, or you can read something from. Computer will be reading itself, right? So even this is a permanent memory, right? It's a permanent memory where non-volatile memory also it is called as non-volatile, stands for permanent. Even though if the supply goes off, if the computer is switched off, the software present in the ROM will not be, it will be there all time in the. Next is programmable read-only memory, PROM, right? P stands for programmable. That means what? It is a memory on which data can be written only once. Only once we can write the data. A variation of the PROM chip is that it is not burnt at the manufacturing time, but can be programmed using PROM programmer or a PROM burner. Program is also a non-volatile memory. See, we have something called as embedded C language. Embedded C language. All right. So here, in the systems, embedded systems also we get. In the embedded chip or embedded systems, in the sense, this kind of chips will be there. What they do is, you can see here these chips. Usually the programmer writes some program for some electronic machine, maybe electronic toys, maybe some other household items like say oven, refrigerator, or washing machine. Like this, many electronic items will be using uh, this embedded system related programs, and those embedded systems programs will be prepared by programmer, and once after preparing completely, once it is functioning properly, then that program will be burnt into the PROM. Burnt into the PROM means what? It will be stored into the PROM. Once stored, you can't do any alternate, and that chip directly you can use it in the electronic machine. So here it will be burned with a PROM programmer or PROM burner. It's a non-volatile. Once stored, finished. It will be permanent, not be erased out. Erasable programmable read-only memory, EPROM. Earlier in the PROM, you saw that it can be written only once. But whereas in the EPROM, the information can be erased and reprogrammed using the special PROM programmer. EPROM is a non-volatile. EPROM differs from PROM in that PROM can be written only once and cannot be erased. But an ultraviolet light is used to erase the contents of the EPROM. Right. So it can be erased with the help of ultraviolet rays. Ultraviolet light. One more is there, electrically erasable programmable read-only memory, EEPROM, where this is recently developed type of memory. This is equivalent to EPROM, but does not require ultraviolet light to erase the content. So it can be erased by exposing it to an electrical charge, right? So it's a non-volatile. So if you want, you can erase it through electrical charge, but itself it will not be erased. EEPROM is not fast as a RAM and other types of ROM. A flash memory is a special type of EEPROM that can be erased and reprogrammed, right? Because chips will be usually costlier. So that is why if only one time we store it and it is not erasable, means it will be difficult. That is why these inventions are done, that is EPROM and EEPROM, so that it will be easy for the like people, programmers to do the programs for electronics. And nowadays you can see that especially the high-end cars like BMW, Porsche, you take like Mercedes, so these all cars, they use many of the electronic sensors, and they work on the software based only. Those are all prepared. In those all, this embedded system related programming will be there. Wherever embedded system will be there, these kind of ROM, PROM, EPROM, EEPROM, depends on the usage the chips will be using for storing the embedded system programs. And random access memory, RAM. RAM is the most common type of memory found in the modern computers. In majority of the general purpose used computer, RAM will be there, which is a random access memory. This is really the main storage of the computer, right? And it is the place where all your programs data will be stored, which is required by the CPU for the present execution, right? So those all data will be there in the RAM. CPU contacts only RAM for the data for the purpose of processing, right? So when the CPU runs a program, it fetches the program instructions from the RAM and carries them out. If the CPU needs to store the results of the calculations, it can store them in the RAM. When we switch off, see, it's a volatile memory or temporary memory. Once when the computer is switched off, the data present in the RAM will be washed out. It will be erased, right? So that's why it's called as temporary memory or volatile memory. The RAM chip diagram has been shown here. The RAM will be like this only. It's a hardware device, right? So here a little about RAM, some more things we are going to learn. The main memory must store many data items and have some way of retrieving them when they are needed, right? So the memory can be compared to the boxes at a post office. Each box folder has a box with a unique number, which is called its address. This address serves to identify the box. So usually in the RAM, what happens is logically, see, physically it is like this. Logically, we think that it's like a rectangular box where there will be a set of memory locations, right? So I'll just show you here one small diagram. Logically, we assume that the memory RAM will be like this. It will be like this. Sections will be there. Right side, these extra lines will not be there. So here, this all extra portion is not there. Fine. So these sections are called as what? Memory locations, where every memory location will be having some identification number in the binary format, right? Like this. These identification numbers we call it as a memory locations, right? And then the memory locations are the places where data will be saved. These numbers are called as what? Memory addresses, through which we identify each and every memory location. So these memory locations hold your data, right? Operations on memories are called reads and writes. That means what? Write means you are going to write something, you are going to store something into the RAM. Read means you are going to read something from the RAM, defined from the perspective of a processor or another device that uses a memory. A write instruction transfers information from other device to memory, and read instruction transfers information from memory to other device. See, write means what? Other device to RAM. It will be stored. And read means what? From RAM, data will be read and it will be transferred to other device. Right. A memory that performs both read and write is often called a RAM. And then a clock signal is an oscillating frequency used to coordinate interaction between digital circuits. Simply put, it synchronizes communication. Digital circuits designed to operate the clock signal may respond at the rising or falling edge of the signal. Right. So all here in the computer, between the digital circuits, right, to provide a communication, proper communication, right, a clock signal, that a clock signal in the sense oscillating frequency, like analog signals, right, like analog signals. Here that will be used for making communication between the digital circuits, right? It synchronizes communication. It makes a smooth communication between the digital circuit, right? So here on the clock signal may respond at the rising when the signal goes up, or at the falling edge of the signal when the signal comes down, right? So here let us see clock signal in digital electronics. You see See, these are clock signals, right? It will be like this. Square shaped signals will be there, rectangular shaped, like waves. When the signal goes up, when it falls down, so the clock signal will respond. SD-RAM chips used only in rising edge of the signal to transfer data. See, SD-RAMs, earlier they were present. Nowadays, we are not using SD-RAMs. They were used only in the rising edge of the signal to transfer the data. Whereas DD-RAM, which are currently we are using, these are the latest RAMs, DDR-RAM, right? So here, the SD-RAM full form, check out. Synchronous Dynamic Random Access Memory, DDR-RAM. Its full form is Double Data Rate Synchronous Dynamic Random Access Memory is called as DDR-RAM. Okay. So here DDR-RAM transfer data on both rising and falling edges of the clock signal, making it essentially twice as fast as SD-RAM, right? That is why RAM speed is very fast. RAM speed works in conjunction with the front side bus FSB of a computer system. FSB is what? It's a two-way data channel that sends information from CPU throughout the motherboard to the various components, including the RAM, BIOS chips, hard drives, PCI slots, right? So bus are the what? The front side bus. Here, FSB in computer. So take, see, FSB, front side bus. Any images? So see, front side bus, which will make an, is what it will help the CPU to send the information signals to the various parts present on the motherboard. The motherboard, you will be knowing. This is the motherboard, which is main thing. Big board will be there in the system box or system unit, right? And now here, these are the types of RAM: EDO, SRAM, SD-RAM, DD-RAM1, DD-RAM2, DDR-RAM3, DDR-RAM4, DDR-RAM5. Now currently DDR-RAM3, DDR-RAM4, DDR-RAM5 are like presently they are working. They are present. The remaining all are not present. Right. EDO stands for Extended Data Output RAM. EDO. It's a type of random access memory chip that improves the time to read from memory on faster microprocessors such as the Intel yes, Intel Pentium earlier in very early days. EDO RAM was initially optimized for the 66 megahertz Pentium, right? And SRAM stands for Static Random Access Memory. It's a type of semiconductor memory that uses bistable latching circuitry to store each bit. This is the technology they are using. The term static differences it from dynamic RAM, DRAM, which must be periodically refreshed. SRAM exhibits data remains, but it is still volatile in the conventional sense. That data is eventually lost when the memory is not powered. Right. FSB will be 166 megahertz front side bus. Whereas double data synchronous dynamic random access memory, that is a DDR, right? SDRAM, DDR, SDRAM was there, or DDR RAM for short, is a type of very fast computer memory. It is based on the same architecture of SDRAM, but uses clock signal differently to transfer twice the data in the same amount of time compared to the SRAM or SRAM. So that means what? See, why all these things, megahertz and all they have given. Whenever you are buying the computers, no, these all speed specifications are very important. We go and we simply ask for a computer or we simply ask for a mobile. There we are not going to consider what is the speed of the RAM, what is the megahertz, on what capacity the RAM is working. So whenever you do bargaining in the computer system, no, there what they do, they'll give you a less megahertz RAM. So automatically the speed of the computer will be reduced, right? So like this kind of trick, the people who sell the computers they use. That is why before you buy it, you have to check out what is the latest DDR RAM are present and what is the latest megahertz, what is the speed of the clock speed is there in those RAM that has to be verified and that only you have to buy for your computer. These are the samples they have given here. And suppose the computer system uses DDR RAM memory divider of 1:1, FSB operating at 200 megahertz and a CPU multiplier of 10x, then the base memory clock will operate at memory divider into FSB, that is 1 into 200 equal to 200 megahertz, and the effective memory clock would be 400 megahertz. Since it is a DDR system, stands for double data rate, the effective memory clock speed is double the actual clock speed, right? The CPU will operate at 10 into 200 megahertz, that is 2 gigahertz, using IO bus frequency of 200 megahertz. Various types of DRAM will operate. So technically, they have given how the RAMs will be working. Now coming to secondary memory. Majority of the chips except ROM, what we have studied, they are all volatile memory. That means they hold your data until the electricity supply is there in your computer. Once the supply goes off, your data will be washed out, right? So in the ROM, it uses to be non-volatile, but it is of for us for the user, it is of no use because it is for system purpose, right? So that is why, and those chips are very costly also. That is why we wanted to have some non-volatile memory for storing our data permanently, and in the cost also what it should be reasonable compared to the RAM and ROM chips. So such kind of memory is secondary memory or external memory or auxiliary memory. All these words refers to the secondary memory only. So secondary storage can be used to transmit data to another computer either immediately or later time. So this provides mechanism for storing a large amount of data. So we are having hard disk, magnetic tapes, floppy disk, CD-ROM and all. So but nowadays CD-ROM is not there, floppy disk is not there. Magnetic tapes are used in a very large scale industries. Hard disk is the currently used one, and one more is SSD, solid state storage device, which is the future secondary storage devices. Now, recently they have introduced, about that we'll see later. To understand the physical mechanism of secondary storage devices, one must have the basic knowledge of magnetism, electronics, electromechanical system. Then only the complete working procedure we can understand. So average time required to reach storage location and obtain its contents is called its access time. Right. Access time means what? For example, assume that you go to some shop, you ask for some material. So the fellow who is present in that shop, inside the shop, there are thousands of items, different items in different sections. That fellow will see where is that item is present. He has to go to that position. He has to get that item and he has to give it to you. All right. He has to collect the amount from you. He has to give the change back to you. This is the total transaction time when you are buying the material in the shop. In the same way, whenever I request some data from the secondary storage device, what it has to do, it has to look for the data in the hard disk, in the secondary storage device. First, it has to search. It should go there. It should read it. It should get back. that data onto the screen. This is what transaction time, right? So it is also called as what? Access time. In electromechanical devices with the moving, see, they are saying electromechanical means electronics plus mechanical parts will be present in that. That is why it is called as electromechanical devices. When there is electromechanical devices means there will be a movable part, right? There will be a movable part. See here, suppose DVD, how it works. If I say, so we'll get some video, right? So in that video, you can see how it works. No, they have given this one. We don't want this one actually. See, in the DVD or CD player nowadays, it's very much rare. When we press the on and off button, no, on button, so the door of the DVD will open, and again when we press, again it will close. Inside that, the CD or DVD, whatever you put, it will be rotating. That means what? This door is opening and closing. There are some movable parts. Inside the disk is rotating. That means there is a movable part. That is why these are electromechanical devices, right? So the access time consists of a seek time. That means searching time required to position the read and write head to a location, and transfer time is required to transfer the data to or from the device. See, what happens is, before that, here in this disk, your data is present. First, it has to be checked out where your data is present. How it will come to know that? Your data's location. In the storage devices, in the secondary storage devices, there is something called as FAT, file allocation table, right? In the file allocation table, what happens is, it is going to see, file allocation table is like your contents of the textbook, which shows you chapter number, chapter name, in which pages it is present. In the same way, file allocation table means it is going to show you in which sector, in which track, what type of information is present. That table will be having information. Based on that, it will check in the FAT, then it will position. See, this is called as read write armature, read write head. For every plate, there will be a 2 button. That corresponding plate's armature will be positioned to that particular sector and track, and the data will be read or the data will be written. Right. Like this, it will work. So their seek time and transfer time, both will be there. Together, it is called as access time. So disk structures, it will be having usually, here I can show you disk structure. This is the disk structure. If I go for images, so you can see disk structure, right? So in this, you can see we have all parts in this. Tracks are the circulars, concentric circles are called as tracks. And the sections, what they have done here, you can see it is like a cake slice. They are sectors, right? In that, we have two sectors, disk sector and track sector. Here, in a violet color, they have marked, no, the entire area is disk sector. Wherever the tracks and sectors are intersected, no, here in the light orange color they have shown, that is a track sector, right? And here, more than one sector in the multiple, more than one sector in more than one, while the single track can be considered as a cluster. And this is read write armature or head, right? The single plate is called as platter. In some disk, there will be a multiple platters, right? That is shown here in the diagram. It's not clear. Now we'll come to the hard disk. See, hard disk is a magnetic disk, right? so on which you can store computer data. Computer data. The hard disk is a direct access storage medium. This means you can store and retrieve data randomly. Disk storage systems are essentially based on magnetic properties. Initially, they have said to understand how the system, how these secondary storage devices works, you need to have a knowledge of magnetism, electronics, electromechanical system. Then only the complete functioning parts of this disk can be understood. So how this hard disk is going to be? There will be a circular plate on which magnetic material is coated on both sides of the plate. It is called as platter, where there will be a more than one platter, flat, round, flat plates, more than one platters will be there in the hard disk, right? So all those are mounted on a pole. And for every plate, there will be a two read and write heads will be there. That means if there are 10 plates, two read and write head buttons will be there. So here the hard disk is a direct storage medium. This means that you can store and retrieve data randomly. Disk storage systems are essentially based on magnetic properties, right? The magnetic disk consists of high-speed rotating surface coated with a magnetic recording medium, right? Rotating surface of the disk is a round, flat plate. While writing the data, what it will do? Write head magnetizes the particles on the disk surface as either north or south poles. When reading data, a read head converts the magnetic polarizations on the disk surface to a sequence of pulses. Right. The read and write head are generally combined into a single head unit. Right. There may be more than one read-write head. It will be there usually. Data is arranged as a series of concentric rings. Each ring is called as what? Track. And track is divided into number of slices. Those slices can be considered as sector, where each sector will holding a specific number of data element, that is bytes or characters. So diagrammatically, you can see how your data is being saved in the tracks. And the smallest unit that can be written to or read from the disk is a sector, right? Sector, the smallest unit. Once a read-write request has been received by the disk unit, there is a delay involved until the required sector reaches the read and write head. See, whenever the disk is ordered to retrieve some data, the head has to see the plate should rotate. The head has to move to that particular position. Then it will start reading and writing process. This is called as what? The reaching to that particular position. The moment of time or that process can be called as a rotational latency, or and on average is 1/2 of the period of revolution. 1/2 of the period of revolution. The storage capacity will be determined based on how many tracks, number of tracks multiplied by number of sectors multiplied by bytes per sector multiplied by number of read-write heads. Right. See, you may get a questions like briefly explain the process of how hard disk works. Right. In that case, the briefly you have to explain with the diagram. Or they may ask you in MCQ question if these number of tracks, sectors, bytes per sector, number of read-write heads are there, then what will be the total capacity of the hard disk? Multiplication of all this will be the capacity of the hard disk. This also you should know. Okay. And then here the high data rates, the speed of the data hard disk depends on RPM, rotation per minute. So nowadays we have 7,000 RPM or high data rates demands that the disk rotates at a high speed about 80,000 RPM in some disks. As the disk rotates, read write head moves to the correct track and fetches the desired data. Right. So hard disk will be available in the capacity which will be measured in the unit GB nowadays. Right. GB also gone now. It's all in TB only, terabytes. Terabytes in the sense what? 1024 megabyte equal to 1024 GB, gigabyte equal to 1 terabyte. And one more is magnetic tapes, which are used in a large scale industries for storing data, right? Magnetic tapes. How the magnetic tapes will be there in the computers. You can see here. No, not this thing. Magnetic tapes in computer we have to see. So like this. It was they used to be like earlier computer tape recorder cassettes like that only. So here this recording medium contains a thin tape with a coating of a fine magnetic strip used for recording digital data. The tape itself is a strip of plastic coated with magnetic recording medium, magnetic material. Bits are recorded as magnetic spots on the tape along several tracks, right? Usually 7 or 9 bits are recorded simultaneously to form a character together with a parity bit. Read write heads are mounted on one in each track so that data can be recorded and read as a sequence of characters. These are not generally used, means in some special sectors they use. Data is recorded in frames across the width of the tape. Frames are grouped into blocks or records, which are separated from other blocks by gaps. So these are serial access medium. Means what? These are not dynamic access. Means wherever you want, whichever you want, you can't access it. See, earlier we were having a tape recorder cassettes. The majors will see tape recorder cassette. See, this is the music system earlier days, like say in 80s, 70s, 90s, 1990, we were using. And for this, we were using, we'll say, cassettes, only cassettes. No, it is showing something different. These are the cassettes. The same structure magnetic tapes will be there. In these cassettes, right, earlier we used to use these cassettes for hearing songs and all. And in this cassette, no, they were serial. If there are 10 songs in it, if I want to go for seventh one, I have to forward all the 6 songs. Then I have to go to seventh one. Serial access mechanism. This is the main drawback of this. If there are 10,000 songs, if I want to go for 9,000 songs, then you think how much forward you have to go. That uses to consume more time. So that was a main drawback. So here, these cannot be accessed randomly, right? So these are specially for regular backup purpose for the hard disk. Means what? The data stored in this will be it will be more permanent. There is a very less chance of losing the data in this. And floppy disk, which is completely outdated storage devices, just for theoretical purpose, we study this. Floppy disk, what happens is externally it is covered with the plastic cover. Inside that there will be a circular plastic plate, which is coated with a magnetic recording medium, and it is electronically there will be a number of tracks and sectors on it, and there will be a read and write head. So there will be a separate device for reading the data. FDD, floppy disk floppy disk drive. If you say, you can see the machine, right? Floppy disk drive. Nowadays, it's not available, only completely outdated. Wait, I'll show you. These are floppy disks. Here you see this one, floppy disk drive. Okay. In a very old computers nowadays, they are present. Floppy disk drives. See, even those drives, images are also they are not. See this one. This is the perfect example. This one. We used to insert the disk in this, right? We have all used in our studies time. So these discs, what happens is they used to be available in two sizes, 3.5 inch, one more is 5/4 inch, and the maximum capacity of this floppy disk was 1.44 MB, 1.44 megabyte. Kindly note, nowadays one MP3 songs at least takes a 3 MB capacity. That means that these discs were in such a way that even half of the MP3 song also cannot be stored in that. Right. Their speed was 360 RPM, 360 rotations per minute. Right. So nowadays it is outdated because the capacity was very less. Right. Compared to the today's requirement. And working speed is also very less. That's why it's outdated. Optical disc uh, like optical discs are the storage mediums for storing the data, where the reading and writing of data will be done through laser rays. That's why they are optical discs. And these are random access. That means if there are 100 songs, if I want 90th song, directly I can go to that 90th song. It's possible. But whereas in the floppy disk, that is not possible. So where here there are different types like CD-ROM, DVD, and BRD and all. These are also nowadays almost outdated, right? CD stands for compact disc read only memory, where optical DVD stands for digital versatile disc. BRD means Blu-ray disc, right? So with the help of laser rays, they write the data as well as they read the data. But here, optical disc, what happens is their formula of working is what? Write once, read many times. Once you write it, it's final. You can't erase it. You can read any number of time. Data will be present for a long period of time. It will not be washed out, whether supply is there or not. So we had some more devices like read and write RW CDs, CD-ROMs, like where you can read and write. Devices will help you to write the data 3 to 4 times, say some number of times. After those number of time, whatever the data left out last time, no, it will be remain permanent. It cannot be washed out. Right? Like hard disk, like floppy disk, you can't erase. You can write any number of times. That is not possible in the optical disk. What is this optical track? That means in the DVD, in the CD, while saving, the track where your data will be saved, know how it will be saving. About that we are going to study. Optical track. It's a recording. It's a recording unit of data on the optical disk. The information stored on the CD-ROM is arranged according to the certain rules and is shaped like an optical track called light rail in spiral shapes. The data from the directory inside the CD-ROM is TOC, table of contents, will be there, is recorded in the starting address of the number of consecutive logical sector of an optical track. Like textbook contents of the book, no? In the same way, in the CD, what all the things are there, those all information in which track and all it's there, the location, position information, it will be there in the TOC, that is table of contents. That will be there in the starting address of the number of consecutive logical sectors of an optical track. The audio CD in a song is corresponding to a light rail. Therefore, there are many light rails. CD-ROM light rails are at most 99 in number. The minimum length of each light rail is indicated by time. 4 seconds or 300 sectors. This value is sometimes referred to as threshold. Less than 4 second light rail, if it cannot be used as a light rail, it might be a bad optical track, right? Less than a 4 second light rail means what? It's a bad optical track where you cannot use it as a light rail. The depression part of the optical track is called as what? Information pit, or flat part, and flat part is called land. Pit and land, right? That means what? Here, pit and land are used to record information. CDR stands for compact disc read only. Disc has been pressed with spiral groove known as the pre-groove instead of the pit of the optical tract. When burning CDR disc in a trench in an organic dye laser irradiation and the formation of bubbles. This is the pit bubbles. Once formed, will not be able to restore. That is why we say write once, read many times. Restore the status quo. Therefore, CDR can only be written once. Right. This pit and land is the signal after 8-14 coded modulation. EFM 8 to 14 modulation plus 3 interval code could access code to form inside the burning to disk. This treatment can guarantee the accuracy of reading. That is why we say, so in the CDs, in the DVD, whatever the video, movies are present, the quality of the video will be perfect, right? You can see here the optical track of the CDs, right? Pit and land also you can see here. The flat surface is called as land, and the down portion, it is shown in the diagram. It is what? Pit here. So 8-bit data, 14-bit concord data, and additive merge data is there. DVD stands for digital video disc, or digital versatile disc is the actual name. With the advances in the optical disc technology, it cannot only store video program but can also store music data along with the increased use. It will be this type of CD-ROM referred to as digital versatile disc, right? Even one more latest device got released, Blu-ray disc, BRD we call, or BD, Blu-ray disc, right? So it stores very large amount of information compared to the compared to the DVD and CD. It consists of thickness of 1.11 mm of the recording layer, and the thickness of only 0.1 mm composite made of transparent protective layer. Right, it will be present inside the DVD. The work of the shorter wavelength light source in the recording layer surface can be comparable with the operating wavelength of fingerprints with the storage capacity. Recording capacity will be 23.3 GB or 25 GB or sometimes 27 GB also. Right. If three CDs are required for storing one movie, in one DVD, you can store at least 4 to 6 movies. In one BRD, you can store almost 18, approximately 18 movies. Based on this concept, you can identify, you can calculate the storage capacity between these three. How much means the difference of storage capacity in these three. Yes. So portable storage device. PSD we call portable storage devices. HDD, flash drive, secure disk, USB floppy. These are all comes under portable storage device. It's a small hard drive designed to hold any kind of digital data. This is slightly different from a portable media player, which stores and plays the movie and music. So some are fixed the size, hard drives of 256 GB, 320 GB, 500 GB. Now and all, nowadays we are all getting it in PB only. Newer minutes, you can see here in the diagram, if you say external storage devices. So go to images. See, these are all external devices. These are only PSD, right? So some are fixed size. Newer units are expandable using 2.55-inch laptop hard drives are also there. In the laptop, small size will be there. Where in the desktop, the size of these disks will be larger, right? Which is useful for storing video, images, and all. While who are more in traveling, no, they can carry their data in these disks. So wherever they go, so it will be helpful for them to handle their data easily. And there is one more cache memory. So where here the cache memory is what here usually the CPU communicates with the RAM for the data, right? The data which is required for the processing of the CPU means processing means whatever the data you send for the purpose of doing some calculation, the data will be stored first in the RAM. Later, based on the signals provided by the CPU, the data used to get transferred from RAM to CPU. But as the CPU speed is very much high compared to the RAM speed, so the data will be requested by CPU, but RAM will take little time to send it. So because of that, what happens is here, because of that, what happens is the processing time will be delayed. CPU will be having requirement of data, but RAM is sending the data very slowly. That is why in between CPU and RAM, one more memory is a place that is called as cache memory, where this cache memory is what? So it will act like an intermediate memory between CPU and the RAM. This cache memory, it is going to store the data which is required very frequently by the CPU. Such data will be loaded in cache memory, right? Remaining data will be in the RAM only. Very frequently required data, whenever CPU requires immediately with a very high speed, it will send it to the CPU so that the waiting time will be reduced, the processing will be done faster, the result will be processed very fast. That is the main reason why this cache memory is placed, right? This is the end of second chapter. Thank you.